During the week, the world marked International Day of Mathematics. It was a global awareness day to draw attention to the important role the application of mathematics theories play in developing technologies that are increasingly shaping our world. In Africa, for example, and indeed Nigeria, the study of this important field of human endeavor is still with a lot of challenges and phobia. How do we overcome this? This edition of Africa Weekly is dedicated to these issues, and of course there are lots of social and development stories across the continent that are in this menu. I am Charles Alpha, welcoming you to the program. The United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Niger Republic as part of efforts to strengthen Africa-US ties. Africa has emerged as a focus for Washington as it aims to position itself as a partner to countries in the region. Diplomatic observers were of the view that U.S. interest in Niger Republic is coming at a time when terrorist groups continue to carry out routine attacks on civilians and the military, despite costly interventions from international forces.
A strong example of democratic governance, a leader in trying to advance regional security.
Now, the study of mathematics over the years, particularly in developing countries, has been so slow. This, many say, also accounts for the slow pace of technological development in those countries. And this is because you cannot separate mathematics from engineering and technology. And so the International Day of Mathematics was a reminder that there is no escaping the study and applications of mathematics, and that Africa, even though is doing relatively well in producing some outstanding mathematicians, still have a long way to go.
So I'm Aisha Walcott Bryant. I am a research scientist and a manager here at IBM Research Africa, based out of Nairobi, Kenya. So today I'm going to talk to you about, I think you saw on Christian's slides, about how math contributes to AI and even control systems. So we'll have elements of that in the talk. Great. So while these models might be complex, as it turns out that even though they are, they represent a broad space of possibilities, nearly infinite, it's actually well suited for AI problems. So there's quite a bit of work in AI search methods. In a subfield of machine learning called reinforcement learning, and even in optimization and control that actually can be leveraged for these types of problems. So there's something beautiful from a mathematical and fundamental modeling perspective that allows AI to come together and provide additional value to the malaria control community by leveraging existing malaria intervention models. Next slide. So here's an example of some of the early work that we've actually done in this space. So we took an existing model from Open Malaria. It's an open source malaria model. And we applied a reward function. You know, we wanted to reduce the disability adjusted life years. We wanted to, that the population could be impacted by if they get a malaria. And we looked at an action space just of spraying and of nets. So the x-axis shows net coverage. So it'll say the percentage of population that has nets. So it could be from 0% of the population all the way up to 100%. And the y-axis is the percentage of the population for which their households or different institutions had spraying.
All right, joining us now to analyze this issue and many more is the Director General, National Mathematical Center, Abuja, Professor Promise Mebine. Prof, we're glad to have you join us on Africa Weekly.
Thank you.
Just to begin with, can you kindly help us make sense of the relationship that exists between mathematics and technological advancement of society?
Oh, thank you. To answer that, I'll ask a question. Is it possible to live without technological development?
Certainly not.
You answered no.
Yeah.
And if it is no, then you now know the importance of mathematics. The reason being that without science, there is no technological development. And without mathematics, there is no science. You now see that mathematics is the fundamental tool behind science, and that is what is behind technology. Like the mic I'm using, in the past they are very small, but today we have smaller ones. Even my sound that they are hearing, in the past, it wasn't as good as this, but man has improved it. Precision has to come into play. And that's the essence today I'm here. And of course, all the instruments you are using are related to technology. And of course, they are related to mathematics. Without mathematics, you will not have these instruments here. Thank you.
Okay, now, so we look at the world as the world marks Mathematics Day. How was it celebrated in Nigeria and Africa?
There are different ways of celebrating the World Mathematics Day or International Day of Mathematics. Here in Nigeria, lectures and seminars were given with respect to specific topics. There are some topics that are very difficult to handle in terms of mathematics. Like some of the associations that I belong to, back in Rivers State, we call it Rivers Mathematical Association of Nigeria. We gave special topic in treating algebra. That's what we treated on the 14th. And it was very good because so many persons, there are some things you think you know, you don't even know. So we're able to treat those ones. So in some organizations, what they do is that they organize quiz competitions for secondary school students, even those in university and all that. And on other areas, what they do is they give special lectures and seminars or workshops on particular topics.
All right, Prof, let me just say that while we're back then in school, I can still remember a lot of friends who saw that subject, mathematics, as a very big challenge. When you mention mathematics in school, a lot of students who simply want to, if possible, they would like to, they would have, loved to do away with that subject. But as a country, what would you say are the challenges facing effective teaching and learning of mathematics?
Even till today, we are aware that the fever of mathematics is still there, even with those in nursery schools, primary schools, secondary schools, even the universities. One of the key problems that we have, or challenges we have, is we lack qualified teachers, particularly secondary schools. Qualified teachers. There's no motivation for them. We don't have effective instructional materials and tools for mathematics. No interest. For something you don't have interest, definitely you're not going to know it. You are here because you have interest in what you are doing, profession you are doing. Most persons, you find them in the classroom because I don't have any option than just to come so that at the end of the month I'm being given a stipend for me to feed my family. That's what they're there. Not because they have the interest. The interest is not, if you don't have the interest, there is no way that you are going to impart the knowledge to the students.
Okay, now, so how do you now stimulate the interest? How can institutions, or how is the National Mathematical Center propagating or stimulating the interest in mathematics? Like you said, and even in children at early stage of their lives?
Well, there are lots of ways of doing that. Let me start with the kids. If they see anything, that sticks to their memory. And so, in making them to understand mathematics, there are times you have to sing songs with the numbers, rhymes with the numbers, so they understand. Today, do you know that they can train animals to count, like dogs? They can train dogs to count. So if dogs and animal can count, how much more the smaller kids? So definitely, if we bring in improvements like textbooks that they will see, videos that they will see and play with, like if you have a wall clock, even at that you can use the teaching them. Your fingers are enough tools for you to what? For them to see. If you can't say count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they'll follow you to do that. But most persons, as I said before, because they don't understand how to pass on mathematics, they don't do these things in the classroom.
All right, that's okay. But now, at this point, I'd like to ask you, what are the policy improvement, or let me just say that, what is the National Mathematics Center doing to enhance the application of mathematics to societal problems, especially in Africa, Prof?
Well, we are doing so much in that regard. We have teaching models that we've developed. We bring in postgraduate students from time to time for training. We also bring in lecturers to update them of what is happening in terms of the current trend of mathematics. We organize training for teachers in secondary schools. We partner with many organizations like HUBEG, NUC, Federal Ministry of Education, NIGDA, and very many others. Just now we are doing one with Ministry of Defense, all their schools. We organize mathematics for them. In fact, next week is the final that we are doing with them. So we do lots of things. We have teaching aids. We have instructional materials that you can see with your eyes. If I tell you pi, how come about a pi? We all know that pi is a mathematical constant. But the origin of it, some persons don't know how it came about. But pi is simply the circumference. That means the walk around of a circle divided by the diameter of a circle. That is pi. But we can demonstrate this in the lab. We have what we call mathematical lab. We have all the tools, all the necessary things that you need to teach the students to understand. We have them.
All right, so now before I just let you go finally, so how much now should we be expecting going forward, in terms of advancements, between mathematics and technology in the coming years?
Well, government is doing the bit they can, but we call on private sector, well-meaning Nigerians, to partner with us. There are lots of things to be done. But of course, this studio will not stand without the tools inside. So it means that we need adequate funding. Adequate funding. Here in FCT, government is doing very well. I've gone to several secondary schools and primary schools. But what about the local areas, the local government areas? There are some that you only have the headmaster and one teacher. That's all. In that case, we are not doing very well. So there is a need for adequate funding. Adequate funding. Every tool that is needed for mathematics education should be provided by the government.
All right.
In the local areas, some schools, they don't even have the classrooms. Their classrooms are under trees, which is not very good for us. So we need to do more.
All right. All right, Prof, thank you so much for finding out time to speak to us on Africa Weekly. Thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you.
All right. All right. We now take the tidbit segment. That was Prof. Promise. Maybe they're talking to us on the advancement and technology of mathematics. Now, to Ghana, now where Institution for Energy Security has repeated calls on the price of liquefied petroleum gas to be cut down, with government to consider taking off some taxes and levies, LPG, to help encourage the consumption of the product. The high price of LPG, the institution believes, is a disincentive and undermines government's policy of encouraging the use of the product to curtail the use of charcoal.
Our concern as of now is that government should really look at the LPG sector, because it's like over the weeks or over the last 3 months, focus has been on petrol and diesel, given the attention government has given to gold for oil. Even though we know government is doing the cylinder recirculation model, I did hear the NPA PRO, Mr. Abdul Kudus, indicate that they are making a strong case to cabinet to review some of the taxes on LPG so that consumers can get some relief. We hope that that comes up strongly, and given the efforts government has also made on climate change and climate action, we believe that if we don't really fight this price hike strongly, what we are likely to see, or what we are observing, is that a lot of users are returning to the use of charcoal, or are supplementing the use of LPG with charcoal. And this, we believe that if it's not properly checked, all the efforts government has made in fighting climate change and in ensuring that we are protecting the environment would all be thwarted.
And still in Ghana, the Environmental Protection Agency has launched a strategic environmental assessment report on the development of a petroleum hub in Ghana. The findings and recommendations in the report will be incorporated into the strategic decision-making process and guide the establishment of the hub.
The Petroleum Hub Development Corporation (PHDC) is a mega project in the Jomoro municipality of the Western Nzima Traditional Council in the Western region. The hub is expected to be a leading integrated petroleum complex that will add value to the upstream and downstream oil and gas value chain in Africa. The petrochemical facility will cover 20,000 acres of land and will house a complex web of onshore, offshore and ancillary assets. It will comprise 3 refineries, 5 petrochemical plants, shared storage interconnected and jetties with port infrastructure. To ensure that the establishment of the petroleum hub does not destroy the fauna and flora of the area, which is close to the Ankasa Forest Reserve, the Environmental Protection Agency (EPA) launched a strategic environmental assessment report to sensitize decision makers about the environmental impact of the facility. Speaking at the launch, Deputy Executive Director of EPA, Dr. Christine Asari, said the petroleum hub will be a high monitoring and evaluation area to ensure that the necessary steps are taken to secure the environment.
Government said they wanted a petroleum hub. Where were we going to locate it? How were we going to deal with the environmental issues surrounding such a hub? And so what we did is we looked at those 4 pillars and incorporated them into this decision that was made by government and came out with our report. And these reports are not just going to sit on the table. There is an action plan.
A representative from the Petroleum Hub Development Corporation outlined the benefits of the facility to the country.
The site availability, very important. I mentioned before the case of Singapore. They have to claim the land from it. Here it's basically lying fallow, right? So we have all the necessary elements to make this successful. And of course, there's going to be a high economic impact. $1.56 billion in exports and taxes alone, 780,000 jobs created. This is based on Lucifer's calculation. So, I mean, if Lucifer is here, I hold you responsible. And then 70% increase in GDP. Like I said, 60 billion out of our current, 80-something billion is actually quite significant when you look at its impact to our economy.
The C report on the development of a petroleum hub in Ghana recommended that the PHDC must have a biodiversity plan to protect the ecosystem of the area.
Nigeria and Spain are synergizing on ways of internationalizing the country's upcoming artists through the Vis a Vis project. This was made known at a meeting between the Nigerian Tourism Development Authority and the Spanish government in Abuja, Nigeria.
The Nigerian music industry is said to be booming, just like a boom town. With several global recognitions, the industry generates more than $2 billion yearly and creates thousands of jobs. However, new artists are rising daily, with many of them struggling to survive. With the Vis a Vis project between the Nigerian Tourism Development Authority and the Spanish Public Diplomacy Institution, CASA Africa, global platform is now open to Nigerian upcoming artists to share their ideas and creations with organizations in the Spanish music industry.
This is an open door because neither the DG nor myself nor anyone is to close that door. The platform is there for anyone to upload the music.
Committed to promoting domestic tourism through the Tour Nigerian project, the Director General NTDA, Folorin Shokuka, said tourism is now a business and the synergy between both countries will open new vista for further promotion of social and cultural relations.
It's opening a door that is normally closed. It's incubating an ecosystem that allows them to quickly step up that ladder to what they call blowing in the music industry.
The competition is open to any interested upcoming Nigerian artists as registration is still on till the 14th of March. 12 Nigerian musical groups will have the opportunity to perform at a 2-day concert in Lagos, while 2 finalists will be chosen to perform at the 2023 Spring Summer Festivals in Spain.
That's our package this week. Thanks for being part of it. I am Charles Alpha.